Before you decide this is just another gentle tale about a rabbit and a pie, let me ask you something. Have you ever tried to give your mother something so perfect that it felt impossible to make, and yet walking away felt even more impossible? Because on a quiet morning in the burrow, when the dew still clung to the clover like tiny promises, Peter Rabbit stood staring at his reflection in a cracked teacup and realized this would be the day that changed how he understood love forever. Peter had woken before the sun, his ears twitching with a nervous energy he couldn't shake. Mother's Day had arrived, and with it came a weight heavier than any basket of radishes he had ever carried. His mother, Mrs. Rabbit, was already awake, humming softly as she kneaded dough near the hearth, her paws dusted white with flour. That hum had been the soundtrack of Peter's life. There when he scraped his knee racing Benjamin, there when his father's chair stayed empty, there when the world felt too big for such a small rabbit. Peter watched from the shadows, his chest tightening. He didn't want to buy a flower or pick something quick from the meadow. This year, he wanted to make something that said what his small voice often failed to say. He wanted to bake her a pie. The idea sounded simple until Peter remembered the last time he tried to bake. Burnt crust, soggy filling, and a kitchen that looked like a flower storm had swept through it. Still, he clenched his paws. Love, he decided, wasn't supposed to be easy. While his mother stepped outside to gather herbs, Peter sprang into action. He pulled out a recipe card written in his mother's careful handwriting, edges worn from years of use. Each word felt like a challenge and a comfort at the same time. As he mixed berries he had gathered secretly all week, strawberries from the sunny hill, blueberries from the shaded grove, he thought of all the times his mother had mixed patience with discipline, warmth with wisdom. But the kitchen fought back. The oven smoked. The dough tore. At one point, Peter slipped on spilled milk and landed flat on his back, staring at the ceiling in defeat. His ears drooped. Maybe he wasn't meant to do big things. Maybe love was safer when it stayed unspoken. Outside, he heard his mother's footsteps returning. Panic surged. He shoved the half-finished pie into the oven and scrambled to clean, his heart pounding louder than the crackling fire. When Mrs. Rabbit entered, she smiled at the mess, at Peter's flour-covered face, at the smell of something not quite right, but trying its best. She didn't scold him. She only kissed his forehead and said she would rest for a while. As she disappeared into her room, Peter leaned against the counter, tears threatening to fall. The pie bubbled unevenly in the oven, and with it bubbled all his fears, that it wouldn't be enough, that he wouldn't be enough. Still he stayed. He adjusted the fire. He whispered apologies to the pie, promises to his mother, and hopes to himself. When the timer finally chimed, the pie emerged crooked, its crust cracked like a smile that had seen a hard day. Peter wrapped it carefully, hands shaking, unsure whether he was carrying a gift or a failure. Just when you think the hardest part is over, that's when the real test begins. Because giving something made with love means risking your heart, and Peter was about to do exactly that. The afternoon light stretched long and golden as Peter carried the pie into his mother's room. She sat by the window, knitting slowly, her eyes tired but kind. Peter's throat tightened. He placed the pie on the small table between them and whispered, "It's for you." For a long moment she said nothing. Peter's mind raced, replaying every mistake, every crack in the crust. Then Mrs. Rabbit reached out, her paw gentle, and touched the pie as if it were something precious. She cut a slice and took a bite. Peter watched her face, bracing himself. Her eyes closed and a soft laugh escaped her lips, not the kind that mocks, but the kind that remembers. She told him it tasted like mornings when Peter was little, like evenings when hope was all they had, like love that keeps going even when it's tired. She pulled him into a hug, warm and familiar, and thanked him not for the pie, but for the care, the effort, the heart behind it. In that embrace, Peter understood something that would stay with him forever. Perfection had never been the point. Showing up was. Trying was. Loving, even when your paws shake and your confidence cracks, was what truly mattered. As the sun dipped below the hills and they shared the pie together, Peter felt a quiet strength settle in his chest. He knew there would be other days, other challenges, other moments when he'd doubt himself. But he also knew this. Love, like a homemade pie, doesn't need to be flawless to be real. It just needs to be made with all the heart you have. And if you've stayed until this moment, maybe it's because somewhere deep down you're carrying your own unfinished pie, Your own way of saying thank you, I love you, I remember. Let Peter Rabbit remind you that it's never too late and it's always worth trying.